Evaluating technology for equity. Usually, digital technologies are introduced in the classroom with the objective of enhancing learning opportunities for all students. However, simply adopt technology does not automatically translate to equitable outcomes. There are numerous cases where digital tools have unintentionally reinforced existing barriers, especially where the teachers did not critically assess their usage. The focus of this is how to help teachers develop the skills necessary for assessing the integration of digital technology aimed at ensuring equity in the classroom. In the context of British Columbia Inclusive Education Framework, the teachers are also encouraged to look beyond adaptation and move towards thoughtful assessment of digital practices. I'm expecting the learning outcomes. It is expected that at the end of this session, teachers should be able to assess whether technology integration is improving equitable learning opportunities and identify disparities in participation and engagement among students. And also, I use structured evaluation tools to review digital lessons and activities. In order to provide support for teachers to assess their technology integration practice, I've been able to develop equity evaluation rubric. What this tool does is that it enables educators to systematically analyze whether the digital tools deployed are providing support for an inclusive environment. The evaluation categories, I have the accessibility, participation, and the rest of that to illustrate how you can evaluate. In accessibility, assess in this category if whether all the students can meaningfully access digital materials. Therefore, the teachers will need to consider the factors that influence such outcomes like captions, compatibility, alternative formats, and adjustable text size. Also, in the participation balance, in this category, teachers will need to evaluate whether technology enables equitable participation across the classrooms. This will include observing how some of the students dominate discussion while others tend to be excluded or passive. There is cultural responsiveness. In this dimension, the rubric assesses whether digital resources reflect diverse perspectives, experiences, and languages. It serves the role of encouraging teachers to examine whether the content being shared is inclusive for the different cultural backgrounds represented in British Columbia classrooms. Tool appropriateness. It is imperative to restate that not all digital tools are suitable for every learning outcome. Therefore, this category encourages teachers to determine the particular tool that will genuinely improve learning instead of serving as a novelty. The student voice, that is the feedback. Student feedback is considered an important indicator to equitable learning environments. The implication is that teachers need to assess whether learners are provided with the opportunities to express their views in relation to the technologies being used. The rubric performance level. I have 4 progressive levels in the rubrics, and they all function to describe the quality of technology integration. Emerging. In this case, technology is limitedly used or deployed in inconsistent ways. Therefore, accessibility considerations might be minimal, with participation tools more likely to favor certain group of students. Developing. At this stage, teachers start to consider accessibility and participation patterns. This will include implementation of certain inclusive strategies, even when they are not yet systematic or consistent. Effective. This is the point where technology is intentionally designed to provide support for diverse learners. Different access points are made available, with participation more balanced and the digital tools carefully aligned with the learning goals. Transformative. Generally, technology is designed to actively reshape the learning environment with the intention of promoting equity. Students should be provided with meaningful choices on participation, The voices of students should be used to inform ongoing improvements, and accessibility should be embedded in lesson design. Teachers can use the rubrics. How can they use it? They use it to evaluate. The rubric can also be collaboratively used by the teachers in professional learning communities. Discussing digital lesson design with colleagues enable educators to shape their insights and they share their insights and identify inclusive practices that would ordinarily be unnoticed. Assessing pilot technology program. When new digital tools or platforms are introduced by schools, the rubrics can play an important role by helping them determine whether these technologies truly support equitable learning outcomes before they engage in larger scale implementation. Data collection made practical. When evaluations are supported by evidence, they become meaningful. I wish to introduce these simple and practical approaches for collecting classroom data related technology use. Tracking participation is enough to observe and record the student that makes the most contribution during technology-based activities like collaborative documents, online discussion, or digital polls. Through these observations, teachers will be able to see the imbalances in participation that could be observed immediately. By so doing, you have tracked the participation and then you collect your data of who was able to follow up and who was not able to gain from the teaching. Collecting short student feedback also will be a very valuable insight. It is generated through exit tickets or brief student surveys. For instance, students might respond to questions like, was anything difficult to access or use? What would make the activity better next time? Which digital tools helps you learn the most today? Usually, responses to these questions highlight engagement barriers or accessibility issues that might not be noticed by the teachers. Observing engagement trend. Teachers can reflect on issues like which students complete digital tasks quickly, which students require additional support, which students appear disengaged during technology-based activity. What these observations do is that it helps educators to determine whether the deployed technology is supporting or hindering equitable participation. Reflection prompts. This question aims to prompt educators to think about learners who may be unintentionally marginalized, like students with limited access to devices at home. How do we help them as educators? Learners who struggle with digital literacy, students with disabilities, multilingual learners. All of these categories, they need different tools to participate in order to be integrated like every other learner. After completing everything, teachers should be able to feel confident in terms of their ability to critically assess digital learning practices. That is to say, they should be able to evaluate technology-enhanced lessons using a structured rubric, identify potential equity gaps in digital participation, adjust instructional strategies to support more inclusive learning environments,